we are making sure to get to the customer and to provide this customer with better and better services.
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be back in beautiful El Guna, and I have to agree with Mr. Mohammed Amir. This is also one of the best events on the Forbes Middle East editorial calendar. We look forward to it every year. So thank you so much for hosting us once again, El Guna. What a great morning it's been so far. I'm also so pleased to be joined by Alauddin today. He has worked throughout his career to create an inclusive banking landscape. This means catering to everyone who needs affordable lending options, and this includes the unbanked. This could also include many of you who have small ventures. So Alauddin, tell us, how is EFG Finance really customizing financial solutions to tailor banking, investment, and insurance products to meet the requirements of both businesses and individuals alike?
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, everybody. It's actually a very challenging and an ongoing process that we are undertaking at EFG Finance. We have a very special setup whereby we haven't started off as a startup and then added activities to what we have. But you could think of, obviously, there was the perennial investment bank, and then we have the newcomer, which is the commercial bank. What I'm helping manage is EFG Finance, which was a host of different companies doing different things with different licenses from the regulator. And what we're trying to do is trying to focus more on how to do more with less. Less in terms of, or like fewer licenses, not necessarily everything that we have, and then really extracting the most value out of what we have to better serve the customer at the end of the day. So we have a host of companies, if you want me to go through them very quickly. So we have consumer-facing companies, one of which is obviously a very well-known Value, which is a consumer finance company. We also have hybrid companies, such as Bidaya, for example, which does mortgage finance. You could consider KEF, the life insurance company, as a hybrid one as well, because it serves businesses and it also serves retail individuals. And then we have a lot of companies at the core of EFG Finance, which serve businesses mostly. But at the end, businesses want to be treated as customers. So they want the same attention, they want the same quality of service. So you have everything from microfinance to leasing and factoring services. And more recently, hopefully, once we get the license, we launch our SME business.
So a massive range of services. And if we think about financial inclusion as meaning something that offers services to those who are traditionally perceived as too small or even to the unbanked, how can financial institutions, Alauddin, really balance between serving larger clients and addressing the needs of the unbanked and the underserved populations? What's your approach at EFG Finance?
At the end of the day, even if you look at the biggest clients we are serving in EFG Finance, again, I'm not talking about the other areas of the group. So we're serving big companies by giving them leasing and factoring products. This extends, the value chain extends, or the supply chain, if you want to think about it this way, extends all the way to the end customer. So each big company has a host of suppliers. And each set of suppliers at the end of the day is being served by a number of small businesses. And you have 97% of the population of small and medium enterprises that are not being served by banks or banking solutions, which is a huge number and represents a consistent challenge which hasn't been addressed so far. So what we're trying to do is to try to make sure that we get to these even small clients with services that more than make up for the challenging economic environment. So you have an environment of high interest rates. We make up for that through better service, better products that are more meaningful to the customer themselves. And more, if you notice, and I think this started it was started by COVID, and since then, people are trusting digital channels more and more. So people are trusting their mobile more than ever before and are relying on services that are given to them through mobile phones. for example. So we make sure to invest all our efforts into those digital channels to get to
So
the customer.
compensating the burden of high interest rates with better services. That's a wonderful approach. And tell us about how you're using data to really create tailor-made services. I believe at EFG Finance you do this all in-house. Am I correct?
We're doing it mostly in-house, and that's something that we have an insane untapped potential. We have a host of also past data that we're sifting through and processing. And again, it's not a matter of gathering data, it's how you process this data. So what we're doing across the board is we're trying to have a single platform across the board. Call it like, the ground floor or the mezzanine of a certain building that can then serve everybody. So we are making sure to get to the customer and to provide this customer with better and better services, we need to go at history, at behavior, at everything that happened before, and we need to do that in a smart way so as to benefit. And that's challenging because, again, a lot of the companies have been run quasi-independently, and you want them to at least at that level talk to each other.
So tell us, Alaaddin, about your tenure at EFG Finance. Under your leadership, it's really contributed to the mission of achieving financial inclusion and access for all. And this is especially for small ventures and for underserved individuals. How have you really done this?
You go and focus, for example, let's take clear examples. So a company like Tenmeya, for example, we're completely overhauling its tech infrastructure and the way it's doing business. It's been a market leader forever. It's continuing to do so. To do that, we need to consistently work on new products and so on. So we provide vocational training, which I think is very important as well, especially to certain strata of people who want to do things, who want to have their own small projects, but who are not necessarily doing things in the most efficient manner. So we have things like programs for women. So we have like 50% of our active portfolio is actually to female entrepreneurs.
Fantastic. Half the portfolio is for female entrepreneurs. This deserves a round of applause, I think.
Thank you. 60% is to young entrepreneurs across the country. We avail vocational workshops, for example. So let's say someone who does a manufacture, like works with fabrics, for example. So we do like stuff related to handicrafts and to fabric recycling workshops for them in Upper Egypt, for example, so that these people not only come to us to get a loan and leave, we also want to make sure that these people, this business they're starting or they are growing is sustainable, and we want to make sure that this same client ends up teaching other partners or other employees with them in this small business, and it's a multiplier effect then.
And this is what you refer to as microfinance.
Yes.
And you say the biggest gap in the market lies from microfinancing to SME. Can you give us some examples of how you're creating solutions for these very special clients?
So we're trying to, again, more and more embed solutions for these clients. So the problem is the following. You have a whole range of sizes of enterprises, and each with, some of them range from having very reliable financial statements, collaterals, they want to borrow to acquire certain assets, all the way down to the microfinance customer that usually has very little out of all of this, and therefore the regulations allow you to serve this customer. What's in between is you need to be very creative, because you may not have the reliable financial statements, you may not have the traditional scoring methodology that would allow you to then extend credit, and you want to do it quickly as well, and you want to make sure that this client gets the best out of what you have. So we rely on data related to revenues, for example, working capital needs, and we work hand in hand with our factoring business, because the factoring as well works very well, I think, through invoices with smaller businesses. And this is how we put together products that cater to these people. And sometimes it's through partners. So we have partnerships, for example, we're embarking on a big partnership with a very big FMCG that historically has been using its balance sheets to basically provide lending solutions to its customers. These customers can range from very small kiosks, small merchants, all the way to big regional markets or supermarkets, hypermarkets. So this in itself is, you can look at it as one client, But from or through this one client, you get to serve a host of customers with varying sizes. So once you get your hand on this data, you're more comfortable, right? Because you're closer to the daily heartbeat of the end customer, and therefore you can extend your funding more comfortably and with lower risk metrics.
And how deep an impact have these tailor-made financial solutions had on your clients' well-being?
It's an ongoing thing. Obviously, it started with like, if you're talking microfinance again, we're like, we're launching 8 or 9 new insurance products, for example. So again, it's an opt-in, opt-out model. They can get the funding. The funding can also be directed to their specific profession, and they can get a host of insurance products that they can choose from, or they can opt out. So we're doing a lot of ancillary things that, again, through the channels we are comfortable with, make it more comfortable and more easy for these people who would otherwise sometimes feel embarrassed to go to first of all, they're not served by the big banks, or they may be even embarrassed to go to a certain branch. Sometimes if you go to them at home, get to them at home through their mobile, it's much more successful.
Incredible work you're doing. And tell us a little bit about EFG Finance's tailored financial products, how you're planning to evolve them. How much can you evolve them from where they are now?
It depends on, again, it depends on the trends we see and in the different industries we serve. So again, it's a work in progress. 24, we're really building, and it will not end in 24. We're really building the base, the technology base I was talking about. It will probably, we'll wrap up at least this common base in 25. But again, you need to then get to a point, 2-3 years time, to have tailor-made customer experiences that you can then, because then it will become also more efficient for you, less expensive for you, and you can then go and target a customer with solutions instead of having this customer come to you. So you can know ahead of time what the customer needs.
And you mentioned trends. What are the future trends that you believe will really shape financial inclusivity in the years ahead?
I think very simplistically, and it's a very big endeavor actually, basically embedded digital solutions. So we at EFG want to focus on what we think we know best, right? So providing funding to those enterprises or to those customers. Some other companies are better at other things. So we want to make sure that we can then work together. So for example, let's talk about certain startups in the space, be it in Egypt or elsewhere. Funding is becoming more and more expensive for these startups, and they recognize the opportunity of basically allowing, having flexible payment solutions to these customers of theirs. Instead of doing that through their own balance sheets, we can partner up together, white label some products, do some credit as a service or what have you, and then avail our balance sheet and our risk expertise, credit expertise to them, and therefore free up this capital that the very expensive capital, sometimes in hard currency, that these startups have to do other things for their core activities.
Congratulations, Alaaddin, on the wonderful work EFG Finance is doing to really empower both businesses and individuals. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.